Good afternoon, and welcome to today's VetNet Entrepreneurship Track presentation entitled Leveraging Social Media, where we will talk about building your brand and increasing profits. My name is Michael Shenik, and I'm a Program Manager for VetNet here at the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, located on the campus of Syracuse University. Before we get started, I'd like to run through a few housekeeping notes on how to participate and ask questions during today's Hangout, and then I'll kick it over to Kim Brown, who will introduce herself and then get started with the presentation. For those of you participating live, please feel free to speak up at any point during the presentation and ask your question directly to Kim. You can also type your question in the chat function, which can be enabled by hovering over the left side of your screen and clicking the little text box, which is in the top left corner. I will relay your question to Kim once that comes through. For those of you watching now live on our YouTube channel or our Google Plus event page, please feel free to type your comment in the comment box, and I will relay that to Kim as well. So I will now turn things over to Kim Brown. She'll introduce herself, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Kim?
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much, Mike. Mike and I go way back to when we graduated in 2006 together from Syracuse University, so it was nice to be able to do this program, and looks like, yep, class of '06 in the house. You got it. So I'm Kim Brown, and I work in the Career Services Office here at Syracuse University, and my passion is really for social media and for using Twitter and using LinkedIn, and some of my coworkers joke that LinkedIn is my middle name, so I'm excited to be able to show you some of the tips and tricks that I use on social media to hopefully help you to build your business, to increase your brand online, and really to have a nice social presence for yourself. So I was telling Mike, I'm kind of a Google Plus newbie, if you will. I get Twitter, I get LinkedIn. Google Plus is new in my world. So I'm going to try and toggle back and forth between showing you my screen, showing you a PowerPoint that I've created, and then also showing you actually getting onto LinkedIn and really giving you a hands-on tutorial on some of the things that are on LinkedIn that you can do in order to increase your brand. So I'm going to pop on now, and Mike has said he will tell me if I mess up. I'm going to share my screen and start with a PowerPoint that I've created to start us off for this afternoon. So I'm going to share my entire screen, and I'm going to pull up our PowerPoint.
One note, Kim, if I can just jump in. For all of you watching out there, this will be archived to our YouTube channel as well. So you'll be able to watch post-production. So if over the course you feel like you're not getting all your notes in or you missed something, don't worry. We'll make sure that the link is out there on the event page and you have access to it. So back to you, Kim.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So the thing about social media, I think, is that it can feel incredibly overwhelming, that there's so much going on, and it feels like every day it's, okay, I get Facebook, I've got Twitter, I did LinkedIn, and now there's Tumblr, and there's Instagram, and there's Yik Yak, and there's Snapchat, and there's all these things that are coming out. And so my goal for this afternoon is really to try and make it feel less overwhelming for you. So we'll talk about some new ways. Really the focus today will be on Twitter and LinkedIn, but I can talk about other social media channels as well, and that's why, you know, Mike said to jump in and ask questions at any time. I am highly interruptible, so if you type your questions, ask questions, however you get them to me, please do stop me, and I'm happy to answer those. So we'll talk about some new ways to use those tools. We'll also talk about ways to measure what you're doing. Is it working? Are people listening to what you're saying? Are you getting new followers on your Twitter account? Do you have a great LinkedIn presence? So I wanted to start with what you were hoping to learn today, but if we don't have any questions right now, I'll kind of jump into the ways we use social media. And I like this graphic that's on your screen now, different forms of social media explained. So Twitter is I'm eating a hashtag donut, Facebook, you like donuts, and so on and so forth down through the different social media channels. But really, you know, why do we use social media? We're trying to build a community. We're trying to meet other people. Maybe you're trying to deem yourself as an expert or someone who really knows a lot about what you're talking about. Maybe you just want to spread information. Maybe you want to increase brand awareness for the company that you're starting or that you're hoping to start. And so really those are just some of the reasons why we want to have a strong social presence. We want to make sure that we're using social media responsibly. I like this picture as well. So many people think that social media is just about talking and promoting your content and putting things out there all the time. But so much of social media is about listening, to seeing what people are saying about you, to seeing what is out there that's being said on Twitter, that you can engage with on LinkedIn, different things like that. So really think of that as we go through this program this afternoon for the next hour, how important it is to be listening when you're using social media and not just promoting your content, promoting your brand, promoting yourself. So one easy way to listen, actually I've got a couple here, Google Alerts. I know a lot of folks who use these. You can set up alerts for any query that you'd like to. So maybe it's the name of your business, maybe it's your name, maybe it's something that has to do with being a veteran, job opportunities. You can set up any kind of alerts that will come into you either once a day, once a week. You can choose the frequency, and then you know what people are saying about you. So I think this is huge for folks who are just starting a business to see, okay, what are people saying about the business that I've created? Is there a new article? Is there a new press release that's mentioning it? What's out there? Or maybe you choose an alert that's about something that's related to your business, so that anytime there's news about a topic that you would care about for your business, you're able to immediately get an alert about the news that's coming out. And of course, Google Analytics, that's probably nothing new for a lot of you, but just having the ability to see on your website who's clicking on what area, what do people care about, how long are they staying on your website. So I just wanted to draw your attention to those two, Google Alerts and Google Hangouts. But I am going to get started with LinkedIn, and I'm going to go back to my face for just a second and tell you how much I enjoy utilizing LinkedIn when it comes to building your brand and really having a strong presence on social media. So I have the PowerPoint just in case the internet decides not to function for me today, but hopefully it'll be very helpful for you to go through LinkedIn, actually be on the website with me. If those of you who are following along want to open up your LinkedIn accounts and follow along with me, we can absolutely do that. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. We're going to start with LinkedIn. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask those, because I want to make sure that I'm answering what you're most interested in today. So back over to sharing, and I'm going to pop into my LinkedIn account. And hopefully, Mike, are we good? You can see that LinkedIn popped up there?
All set. Can see it.
Awesome. All right, so my goal at the end of this hour is to have you leaving this hangout feeling like a LinkedIn Jedi Master. I always joke about that. So really feeling like you know everything about this site and what's hiding in this site, because LinkedIn is not exactly super, I don't know, intuitive. It doesn't jump out at you and say, hey, I'm a really cool feature, you should click on me. So what I think is most helpful for our audience today is to draw your attention to veterans.linkedin.com. LinkedIn has created a one-stop shop for vets to utilize their service. And so not only have they gone through and they've pulled out companies that hire veterans that are posting job opportunities where they've said they want vets to be having those job opportunities, but they've also gone through and provided a lot of tips to you about how to use LinkedIn as a veteran job seeker, how can you use it to further your career, and also sharing some stories, because we really are all about stories of success. Sharing some stories of how veterans have utilized LinkedIn in order to find their career success after the military. So I just wanted to show that to you off the bat. It's veterans.linkedin.com. What this allows you to do is to get a job seeker account, a premium account for free for 1 year. So you can join the Veteran Mentor Network group on LinkedIn. You can talk about your transition, how are you doing with your career search, and really have that nice premium account that typically costs money for a user who is not a veteran. You can get that job seeker account for free just by going to veterans.linkedin.com. So hopefully that is helpful to you. Back over to regular old LinkedIn. So I am going to walk through every one of these tabs. We're going to go on our home page and the profile page and connections and all those different tabs. And I want you to feel incredibly comfortable with what's on LinkedIn and how you can use it to build your personal brand, and then talk a lot about your business that you may have or that you may be thinking of creating. Utilizing LinkedIn. So I'm going to start on the home page. This is really, when you're on LinkedIn, you can think of this as your place that would be very similar to a Twitter timeline. It might be similar to your Facebook news feed. This is what's happening with your network. And when we talk about having a network on LinkedIn, for those of you who this is not so familiar to, so if Mike and I are connected on LinkedIn, we are first-degree connections. If Mike has a friend named Sue, who he's connected with, well, Sue would be my second-degree connection. And then if Sue has a friend named Bill, Bill would be a third-degree connection, and then it stops. So you may see things on your LinkedIn where you see numbers after people's names, and that's just the level of connection. So from here, you can share an update. Maybe you're letting folks know that you're, going to the Los Angeles area and would love to meet people who are in the field of XXX. You can post a picture that you might be interested in. You can publish a post. You can actually become a blogger on LinkedIn. I think this is really neat. You might consider going into publish a post function and say, the top 10 things I learned as a veteran and searching for my new career. And then you can share that post with people you're connected to, and that is an amazing way to get your name out there. So really think of that as home base. That's where you're going to be sharing updates, putting up any pictures, maybe flyers that you might have created. That's all going to happen from your home page. All right, I'm going to pop into the profile button, and I'm going to click Edit Profile. This is so important to have a really strong profile. Honestly, some of this can be a little bit boring to actually go through and create this profile, but it's incredibly important to have a strong profile, to be representing yourself, and then of course also your business in the strongest way possible. So this is, you want to have a background photo on your LinkedIn. You also want to have a picture of yourself. You can do any background photo that you feel comfortable with. Obviously, that's a panoramic photo. And underneath your picture, there's a link that will take people to your LinkedIn profile. This is something that should be on a business card. This is something that should be on your resume next to where you're putting your email address and your, phone number. It can be your LinkedIn URL as well. If you have not edited this URL, it looks ugly. So I'm going to show, usually I can pick on someone really easily to give you an idea of what an ugly URL looks like. Let's see, Brian Faith, who is a Syracuse University grad. There he is. Brian has this weird link going on, Brian-Faith73A7895. So this really would be something that I would suggest editing, because you can come on, click Edit Profile, click the pencil next to your link, and then click your public profile URL. Now, some lady named Kim Brown beat me to being just Kim Brown, so I have to be Kim Brown 1, but hopefully you can be just your first name, just your last name. Having your first name and your last name in a link makes it really search engine friendly, so that when someone goes to Google and types in your name, maybe they're looking for you, they've gotten your resume, they want to learn more about you. If they type your name into Google and your name is in a link, you will have your LinkedIn profile show up in the top 5 search results for your name. And that's good, because you're going to put a lot of professional content on there. So save that public profile URL. And then also remember how important the summary section is of your profile. I see a lot of times that people will leave that summary section blank. You have the ability to add pictures, you have the ability to add links, you have the ability to add whatever you feel most comfortable. So maybe you've created a business, you have some flyers, you have a website, you can add that to your summary section. But the summary has keywords in it that when someone goes in and types those keywords into LinkedIn, LinkedIn looks at the summary to find those keywords. So if you want to be found because you've created a business for, connecting engineers to new opportunities, have the word engineer in your summary section. If you want to say that you are a veteran, you want to put that in your summary section, because a lot of employers are looking to hire people who are veterans. So fill that out, give it a little love. It should really be similar to a snippet of your cover letter, where you're basically describing where you've been, where you are now, and where you want to go in your career. So you can talk a little bit about your military, talk a little bit about what you're doing now currently, and then talk about a little of what you see for your future career-wise.
Hey, Kim, we have a question from Jeff Brewer on Google+, and he asks, being Kim Brown 1, do you worry about people looking for you on LinkedIn and going to that individual who's designated as Kim Brown?
No, to be honest, I don't worry about that. People can usually tell when they get to the other Kim Brown that it's not me, because I'm so tied to Syracuse, so that's not really a concern on my end. They should be able, it's really not a word, it's really just the look of it that bothers me, that there's the Kim Brown 1 after it. Someone who's finding me on LinkedIn will know that they found the right Kim Brown, because they know that I work for Syracuse, or they know that I, am someone who's in the career world. And when you're thinking about making connections on LinkedIn, really with LinkedIn, it's about the quality of your connections and not so much the quantity. So someone who's finding me is likely somebody who I know or who's been recommended to connect with me. It's not just reaching out and connecting with random people. So they're kind of just finding me after already having an idea of who I am, if that makes any sense. Hopefully that answered your question. I wouldn't get too worried about the link itself. A lot of us have common names. My poor dad is John Brown. It doesn't get much more common than that. So it's really just the aesthetic look of it that bothers me, but not as far as people finding me. And usually when they go into Google, they'll type your name and then something else that's sort of relevant, so they should still be able to pull up your profile in the top few search results. So I'm just scrolling down through my profile, and I want to draw your attention to the fact that at the very tippy top, you've got about a gajillion sections that you can add to your LinkedIn profile. And so maybe you don't have really strong work experience just yet, but you've obviously got your experience in the military. You maybe are starting to take coursework, or you've taken courses in the past. You might have a patent for something that you've invented. You might have done certain projects. You can add all of those sections to your LinkedIn profile. And what's cool about LinkedIn is that, well, A, you're not limited to like a one-page resume, so you can add any sections you want and go on and on. But B, you can drag and drop sections so that you can pull your work experience down, pull your volunteer experience up, really kind of let people see your profile in the order that you want them to see it, and then they're able to, see that, well, maybe your volunteer experience is really relevant if your work experience might not be. So that's just a little bit about the profile. Don't want to spend a ton of time on that, but want to give you an idea of how the profile and how editing a profile works. And that LinkedIn for Veterans link that I mentioned at the beginning, that is really a helpful tool and can walk you through building a good profile as well.
Hey, Kim, we have a question from Valerie, and it says, the publish a post feature isn't available in my basic LinkedIn account. If I upgrade to Job Seeker, will I be able to post?
That's interesting that it's not on there. That should be a tool that is available for everybody. That's not a premium feature. That is definitely a feature that would be available for all folks. So I'm wondering why that
Kim,
would be.
I have a basic profile, so what I'll do is I'll pop into mine on my screen if you want to continue, and I'll take a look at where it may be located.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, usually everything, it says that I have a premium account. I've never paid anything for LinkedIn, so I have zero idea why I have a premium account, but I do know that a lot of folks who have just the basic account are able to publish a post. So I'm not sure why that's not showing up for you. And if Mike isn't able to find it, then I can do a Google search after this and make sure I share that so that Mike can share that with you.
Well, you know what? I just looked at it, and now I have it. I didn't have it 2 weeks ago.
Woohoo!
I was looking on the internet, and it was like, sorry, it's not available to everybody, but I guess maybe they changed it in the last.
Wow, good, awesome. Yeah, they just literally just changed the dashboard on LinkedIn, so it's kind of like you're seeing now, it's giving me ideas of how to stay in touch with my network, which is really cool. It's kind of showing me who's been looking at my profile, and that gives me a good reason to go into the profile tab now and talk about who's viewed your profile, which I also like to call how not to be a creep. So when you go into profile and who's viewed your profile, this allows you to see who's been looking at your LinkedIn profile. Like you can see their face, you can see their job title, and you have the ability to turn, so obviously if you can see who's looking at you, other people can see that you're looking at them. If you go into your privacy settings, if you click on your upper right hand corner and then manage your privacy and settings, they'll ask you for your password just to be safe. But you can pop in and you can say, select what others see when you've viewed their profile. So I am totally anonymous, which means I can look at anybody on LinkedIn and they have no idea that I am looking. And I think that's a nice feature for someone who uses LinkedIn as much as I do and goes to a lot of different profiles. The thing about going totally anonymous is that I then have no idea who is looking at my profile. So that I think is kind of an interesting, LinkedIn says, fine, you can go anonymous, but then we're not going to show you. I say, if you're in a job search, if you're sending out a lot of applications, if you've really just done a lot to promote your business, go public. Go with that your name and headline recommended section, because then that'll allow you to see, well, did the person I just sent a resume to look at my profile? Did someone who might be interested in partnering with me on my business look at my profile? If they're looking, they're probably interested. So I would say you can toggle back and forth with who's viewed your profile. Under the Connections tab, I'm going to go into Keep in Touch, which is your Rolodex. It's a Rolodex that I think is a pretty phenomenal Rolodex because it gives you an idea of what's going on with the people that you've connected to. And it also allows you, in this upper right-hand corner where you see that little setting button, the gear, if you click on Settings and then click on Export LinkedIn Connections, this allows you to create an Excel file, a CSV file. It's the first name, the last name, the job title, and the email address of everybody who's in your network. So if you maybe were afraid you wouldn't be able to log into your LinkedIn account one day, if you just really love Excel, if you feel like it might be helpful for you to, keep an Excel file going, maybe you turn that into a document to document your networking and who you've reached out to, that's a really nice feature that's hidden in the Keep in Touch tab here on LinkedIn. The other thing you can do from this Keep in Touch tab is you can go to people that you are connected with. And so if I go to Krista's account, I can make notes to myself about what Krista and I last spoke about. I can set a reminder to myself that will come to me via email and also as a pop-up when I log into LinkedIn, reminding me to follow up with Krista, or any other notes I want to make. Only I see these notes. So this is a really nice way to keep yourself organized, to know who you've reached out to know what you've talked about, to make sure you're following up if you've said you're going to follow up. All of this is available when you just go to the account of a first degree connection. So that's under Connections and then Keep in Touch. Adding connections is a nice way for me to remind you how to reach out to people on LinkedIn. And my coworkers make fun of me because this is my biggest pet peeve. So I'm going to find someone who I'm not connected to. I guess I could pull up Valerie Rivera because I know Valerie is watching. So I'm going to pull up Valerie's account and I'm going to show Valerie the proper way to, Valerie, let's see what I would, oh, this must be you. Is this it? Disruptive innovator transitioning from the United States Air Force. That is you.
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm going to press connect on Valerie's account. And it's going to ask me, how do I know Valerie? And so right now, she's not a colleague. I'm going to go with we've done business together. It's probably the closest one since she's on a Google Plus Hangout that I'm hosting for work. So I'm going to say that we've done business. And then I'm going to delete this god-awful message, which is I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. I hate it. So I take the time always when I'm sending a connection request on LinkedIn to say, hi, Valerie. Thanks so much for participating in our Google Plus Hangout today. At quick glance, your profile looks fantastic, because I saw she had that edited URL. So I will send her the invitation, and Valerie will get the warm and fuzzies because she's received something that says something other than "I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn." So now I'm going to go into a little bit about utilizing LinkedIn to find job opportunities. So some of you may have your businesses, some of you may be looking for work, some of you may be in the transition phase. So when I choose jobs from my drop-down menu here, so I'm going to go to jobs, and then I'm going to press my magnifying glass. And this is going to pull up for me every job opportunity that is on LinkedIn. And I can narrow this based on several different searches. So I can say, okay, well, show me all of the jobs on LinkedIn that are in the realm of information technology. And maybe I know that I really want to live in Seattle. So I pull up 5,485 opportunities that are in IT that are in Seattle. And what LinkedIn does that no other job search site will do is show you, if you want to work as a software development engineer for Second Watch in Seattle, you've got 3 people in your network who work for Second Watch, likely in the Seattle area. So see those little numbers I mentioned at the beginning, first, second, third degree connections. So if I go on to Alvaro's LinkedIn profile, I'm able to come down here and see that I know Anthony Manganiello. I used to call him Mango in high school. We go way back. So Mango knows Alvaro. I can press Get Introduced, and I can say that I, Kim, want to meet Alvaro, and I want my connection Mango to make that introduction. That is a really, really cool tool. And think about this not only for getting an opportunity maybe for a job interview, but maybe meeting someone who could be a new potential client, could be a new potential partner for your business, could be, I mean, the realm of possibilities is just extraordinary. So kind of go through and see when you're searching for your job opportunities, again, jobs in the drop down, press your magnifying glass, and then you can narrow as you'd like to narrow. You can really get a good idea of what jobs are out there and how people in your network might tie you to those different companies. So that is the job search. And then we've got 2 more things to do on LinkedIn before we hop onto Twitter. And again, just interrupt me if there are any questions. So what I want to show you on LinkedIn, I don't know if LinkedIn does this, but I call it my beat the system trick. So on LinkedIn, you can join groups that are relevant for you. That might be where you, if you have an undergrad institution, maybe you join the Veterans Mentor Network, whatever group it is that you belong to. You can join groups simply by, so if I just type the word veterans into LinkedIn and then I click groups, I'm going to find 3,051 results for groups that are filled with veterans. We Hire Heroes is one that's really devoted to veterans employment, and of course there's one for every branch of the military as well. So you can join these groups. I obviously can't be in any of those groups since I am not a veteran, so I'm going to go to a group that I belong to, which is the Syracuse University Alumni Network Group, which is a way for me to show you how these groups work. When you go into a group, you're going to see there's lots of discussions. There's lots of, job opportunities posted under the Jobs tab. But what you have the ability to do in a group, I think, is pretty fantastic. If I go and click on the number of members in a group, say I'm interested in reaching out to somebody who works for, I don't know, maybe I'll type in the company Xerox. That's just the first one that came to mind. So I type in Xerox in my search. And you can do anything in this search box. You can do the title of the company. You can do the title of the job you want to have. You can do the area you want to live in. Maybe you know that you just want to be in West Palm Beach, Florida, but you don't know exactly what you want to do. The area you want to live in, I just want to draw your attention to that. If I go to the search and I type in West Palm Beach, LinkedIn is going to pull up for me, if I just do it like that, 158 results, but maybe some of these people at one point in their life were in West Palm Beach, but like Paul here, he's not there anymore. Or William, he's not in West Palm Beach anymore. So if I want to find just the people who are in West Palm Beach now, I want to see how LinkedIn recognizes that location, which I've highlighted, West Palm Beach, Florida area, and in quotes, I'm going to type West Palm Beach, Florida area, and I'm going to go from 158 results to 133 results. So now I know I am only finding the people who call West Palm Beach, Florida home. So now I'm going to go, excuse me, now I'm going to go to someone that I know I have no tie to. So here I've decided I'm moving to West Palm Beach, Florida, and I really, really want to work for, oh, I don't know, let's see, PNC Equipment Finance. It's my dream company. I found a vice president in the group. I want to reach out to him. So I click on his profile, and LinkedIn says, sorry, too bad, you can't reach out, you need to upgrade your account, you need to send Scott InMail. You've probably seen this before when you have no tie to someone. But when you join groups, the beauty of joining a group is that you have the ability to message group members without ever paying for that InMail. So if I just click send message under Scott's name, I have the ability to reach out to him. And maybe it's a reach out for advice. Maybe it's to meet him for coffee when I come to West Palm Beach. You choose, of course, what you want to say in the message, but I think that's a really neat way to reach out to folks that you have a small tie with because you share a group with, but you're not actually connected to them. And what I suggest is going the message route first. If you were to send a connection request to Scott and he has no idea who you are and he wouldn't know your name, it probably wouldn't be as effective as sending him a message which will go to his email and allow you to really make a nice contact with him. Now here's another super, I almost feel guilty teaching this, but I think it's fantastic. So you all saw that when I clicked on Scott's profile, I'm not able to see any of Scott's profile. But if I go over to my friend Google and type in Scott P and then PNC Finance, and then maybe LinkedIn, we'll see if PNC Finance works. I might need to type in LinkedIn here. Was it PNC Finance? Might have to go back. Yeah. Let's see. So I come down. I want to make sure. Oh, PNC Equipment Finance. That's why it's not going to come up. PNC Equipment. So I basically am taking his name, which I was able to see, and then a little bit of his job title. And then I'm able to kind of come down and see, oh, this is interesting that it's not one of the first results for me. Usually, as I search PNC Equipment Finance, he will pop up in the Google. Oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed. It works every time that you type in a name and then a little bit of their title, and up it pops. But of course, it's not working on this one. I'm going to try a different one. Usually, and he may have it so that it's not indexed in Google. Usually, if you type someone's name and then a little bit of their LinkedIn profile title, you're able to pull up their profile in Google, and you can see the entire profile. And I just did this last night, so I'm kind of surprised as to why it's not showing up. I'm going to try Beth M., Director of Operations. Let's do Beth M., Director of Operations. And there's Beth M. Hovey. No, something is going on, and I wonder if our Google algorithm has changed or something has happened that it's not letting me do that. But usually, and you may want to try it on your own time, I don't want to spend too much time on this not working. Usually, if you take a little bit of the first name and then a little bit of whatever their job title is, you're able to see their full account in Google. And I'll have to look into that to see why it worked last night and isn't working at this point, but that's the beauty of live TV, right? So anyway, that is, even if you aren't able to see their full profile with that Google trick, you can still come through and you can message anybody that you want that you share a group with. And I want to wrap up with LinkedIn on just showing you the advanced search feature. This is a phenomenal tool for potentially finding new business prospects, for maybe reaching out to people who you want to partner with, for maybe reaching out to folks who are working at the companies that you want to work for. So what I did was I clicked advanced right next to the magnifying glass, and I'm going to choose every single person on LinkedIn. First connection, second, group members, third, all of these folks. And I'm going to say, all right, well, I want to find everybody on LinkedIn who has the keyword veteran in their profile, who might be, oh, I don't know, working for, what's a company? Maybe they work for Pepsi. So I get one result for the HR manager who really works or has in the past worked in veteran recruitment, and now she's the HR manager at Pepsi. And we know that Pepsi is a company that's really veteran friendly and likes to hire veterans. So now I've found her. You can do any kind of search you want on this advanced search but I think it's a pretty effective way to identify people on LinkedIn who might not be in the same group with you. So that is a little bit about LinkedIn. I'm going to pop off here and did I
Kim,
stop sharing? I did.
we have one question real quick. It's from Delano Massey saying, how do veterans secure a free premium account? I requested, but I don't think it worked. I know that we covered it in the beginning, but you want to just hit the veterans.linkedin.com again.
Sure. Yeah, that is the way to do it. So let me just share my screen quickly so I can walk you through that process. So if I go over to share my screen, here is veterans.linkedin.com. I clicked Get Job Seeker for free, and then it brought me to this free 1-year Job Seeker account. And it basically gives you ways, and even it gives you ways to expedite the process. So they want you to have your military experience on your profile, and they want you to be able to give your URL and all of that. So you can request the upgrade through that. They might potentially be backlogged. I know we're teaching this to a lot of people, but that is the way to request the Job Seeker account. Hopefully that one answered your question. Any other questions that came in? No, I don't see
No
any.
other questions at this time, no.
All right, so let's hop to it from LinkedIn to a little bit about Twitter. I didn't touch too much on company pages on LinkedIn. That's something I can answer for anyone who is interested in running a company page, but we talked about groups. So now I'm going to hop onto Twitter. I think it's a hugely helpful tool, and I think it's something that you don't have to do. A lot of times I'll hear the question, well, should I be on Instagram? Should I be on Twitter? Should I be on LinkedIn? And my thing is, it's better to do one thing really well and be really, really strong at that tool than it is to do 7 things really badly. So I'm going to talk about Twitter because it is the platform that I get the most questions about, and I think it's really helpful for you in kind of putting yourself out there, and especially if you're building a business, really important with branding. So I'm going to go on to that and start sharing my screen again. I'm going to warn you that this next screen might be a little bit overwhelming, but it's okay. I'm going to show you the way I view Twitter. So here's Twitter. This is Hootsuite. This is a free dashboard that allows me to manage my social media. So it's HOOTSUITE.com. And what this allows me to do is to see the people I'm following on Twitter. Anytime people mention me on Twitter, any mentions, and I've set this up myself, any mentions of Syracuse U, any mentions of Career SU, these are my personal things. But what's cool about Hootsuite is that I can add a ton of social networks. So if I want to use this dashboard, and this is free, if I want to use this and manage my Twitter, my Facebook, my Google+, my WordPress blog, my LinkedIn, whatever you want to add, you can do all of that from a one-stop shop right within Hootsuite. And you can even, that's one of the biggest questions I get, like, well, I don't have time for this. You can schedule things to go out so that if you know you're going to be really busy in the next week, you can use Hootsuite, free tool, and make sure that you're scheduling things so that they can go out if you know you're not going to have a ton of time to work on those tweets. The downside of scheduling tweets is to be very careful. There have been a lot of unfortunate instances where there's been like really, really bad news out, and everybody's kind of talking about that bad news, and then all of a sudden a scheduled tweet from a brand will come out and say, we're amazing, fly us for your next trip to Delaware. And meantime, there was a plane crash in Delaware. So it just kind of make sure that if you've scheduled tweets, be mindful of what might be talked about on social media that day so that you don't come across as insensitive. So I'm going to toggle back to my PowerPoint real quickly just to talk to you now that we've done our LinkedIn. I love this quote. This was in Time magazine in June of 2009, and it's about Twitter, and the author wrote, "Why does the world need this exactly? It's not as if we were all sitting around 4 years ago scratching our heads and saying, if only there were a technology that would allow me to send a message to my 50 friends, alerting them in real time about my choice of breakfast cereal." That is what a lot of people think Twitter is all about, what you had for breakfast, what you had for lunch, what you're eating right now, what you're doing right now, blah, blah, blah. it is definitely more than that. I just want to call attention to my boss, bless his heart. He's amazing. He is a fantastic boss. He is the first to admit that he is on Twitter. He has no desire to use Twitter. We are waiting patiently for the day when his first tweet will come. But he is an egghead on Twitter. He has chosen not to give himself a profile picture. There is no description of who he is. There's no website. So if you're going to join Twitter, don't look like this. You want to give yourself a face. You want to add your website maybe to your bio. You want to add a description of who you are. And you really want to put yourself out there and put your brand out there on Twitter. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the lingo on Twitter. I know this is a lot of words, but you'll hear this lingo as you dive into social media, and I just want to draw your attention to it. So on Twitter, your name is your handle. So my handle is @KimandQ's. When I'm tweeting, people will see a tweet from Kim and Q's. Lose the egghead, add a bio. You get 140 characters when you're writing a tweet, but my suggestion is to aim for 120, because if you do that, you're more likely for people to retweet you. And when people retweet you, other people find out that you exist, because when someone retweets you, the people who follow that person are able to see you show up in their feed, and then maybe they choose to follow you. So the handle is your name on Twitter. The hashtag is something you might use within a tweet. So you'll see this a lot at conferences. You might see this if you're looking for jobs. I'm going to show you a search about using handles and hashtags and why you might see a hashtag on Twitter. And really my thing is, don't worry about your followers. They will come. Right? If you build it, they will come. If you give them great content, if you have conversations with people, and you're like, okay, well, how am I going to find people to have conversations with? I have an answer for that. I want to draw your attention to a couple different websites that I think are just fantastic. The one, which was a recent discovery for me just a few months ago, is followerwonk.com. So this is follower wonk. There's a lot of gobbledygook words on the screen. Ignore all that and go to the tab that says Search Bios. So if you go to Search Bios, you're going to see the ability to search Twitter profiles for any word that you want. So if you want to search Twitter profiles or Twitter bios, I would say search the bios. So the profile is like the whole thing, like anything that they've ever tweeted about, but the bio is just what you see like under Katy Perry's name. That's her bio. So if I go to search Twitter bios, maybe I search Twitter bios for a specific word. Maybe I just do it for the word entrepreneur, or for the word, I don't know, we can look for the word veteran and see who's out there. You can even see how other veterans are utilizing social media and the followers that they have, and what are they tweeting about, and what are they doing. And so this gives you a really good idea of potentially people to start following, and you can scroll through and see who sounds interesting to you. You could do a search for people who are tweeting about something that might be interesting to you in your business. Maybe you do a search for people who have the phrase angel investor in their Twitter bio, and you find 3,000 people who list themselves. Here's one who's a veteran startup mentor and an angel investor. He might be incredibly helpful to some of you. And I've never before found a tool that allows you to actually search the bios, so that's why I wanted to draw your attention to follower wonk and the ability that you have there to search a bio. Now, for those of you who are on Twitter and or not on Twitter, I should say, I'm going to actually log out of my Twitter so that I can show you how this works. All right, so I'm going to go. My point is, you can use this and you can do really cool things on Twitter without ever needing to have an account. So I am not logged in at all, but I can still go on Twitter and I can still do an advanced search. So I can go on Twitter and I can say, show me every tweet right now that has the hashtag JobOp in it. Every single one. And I could even go so far as to say, show me every single tweet that has the hashtag JobOp and also is a happy tweet, that there's a smiley face in there. But I won't do that for just now. So I'm going to search JobOp, and then I'm going to press all, and I'm going to see a gajillion tweets that have the hashtag JobOp. Now you could narrow this even further. You could ask for specific hashtags, maybe JobOp and then the hashtag engineering. There's one that I just posted a few days ago. You could come on and you could say maybe you're searching for something entirely different. Maybe you want to find people that are talking about, you know, jobs for veterans, or maybe you want them to have a specific phrase in their profile, or mentoring entrepreneurs. So I do that search. Let's see if anybody comes up. There's a lot of people tweeting about the word mentoring, about the word entrepreneurs, so you can really use this advanced search to benefit yourself, I think, by kind of seeing what's out there and what are people tweeting about and what are they sharing, and that's how you can find new people to follow. And the reason why I like Hootsuite is because, you know, you set up a search in there for something that you're interested in, and you're going to see every tweet that's being said about that topic you're interested in. So I find a ton of people to connect with who are tweeting about Syracuse University just by having this Syracuse U column on my Hootsuite account. So that's a really neat way to be able to, you know, talk to people, find new people to follow using Hootsuite. So I'm going to wrap up with just one more slide. On utilizing social media. We talked about the lingo, and I talked about the advanced search. So really things to think about when you're on Twitter, and really when you're on LinkedIn as well, and when you're on Facebook. People don't engage with brands. They're not talking to Pepsi. They're talking to someone behind that brand. You can use hashtags to try and get yourself out there. So maybe you want to use a hashtag that's, you know, related to a conference you've been on, that's related to the business you have, that might be related to the skills that you have. We talked about Hootsuite, and then of course they've done a lot of research about when is the best time to post on social media. How do you know that eyes are on your account other than by seeing retweets or seeing different engagements? And that's why I like this infographic, which I pulled up here as well on Google. So if I go here, it's the best and worst times to post on social media. So it gives you an idea of when is the highest average click-through on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. And I think we can share this PowerPoint so that you'll be able to have this link. But even if you just Googled the best and worst times to post on social media, it'll really give you a nice idea of when to be scheduling your tweets. A lot of people, I can tell you, no-brainer here, are on Twitter around their lunchtime. They say peak days are Monday and Thursday for Twitter. Nobody's on LinkedIn on a Friday. Shocking. Everybody's thinking about the weekend. They're not thinking about LinkedIn and their careers. So that is just something to keep in mind as you're starting to really utilize social media. And then, of course, there are other platforms as well, and I want to make sure we have enough time if there are questions about things like Pinterest or having a blog or how can you use Instagram, or I self-proclaim to not know too much about Google+, but I can try and answer some questions here and there. And then, of course, MySpace is really coming back as a platform for musicians. But that is about all I have on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I, you know, always in teaching social media in an hour, I want to make sure that there is enough time for any questions that come in. Thank you to Mike for tweeting about Hootsuite. Oh, there's so many screens. There we go. Awesome. Mike, has anything come? Oh, I'm not seeing any questions in the box. Valerie, anything you can think of, or anybody else that might have a question for how to use social media, or anything we went through on LinkedIn or Twitter, or Facebook seems to change all the time. It seems like I can never keep up with the pace of it and the privacy settings and things like that.
No, this was really good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Good.
What we can do is my email address is meschoen@syr.edu. I will put that in.
And somebody was going to tell me, because I had already gotten from you guys, somebody was going to give me the...
Okay, just muted that. I will go ahead and share that in the group chat. If anyone would like this PowerPoint, Kim, if you're okay with us sharing,
sure,
I'd be happy to get that over. I really appreciate Kim taking the time, as she's spoken and now with both our VWISE, our Veteran Women Igniting the Spirit of Entrepreneurship conference. She's spoken at our Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans with Disabilities conference, and she's got phenomenal feedback on these tools. As you saw, there's so many more functions behind these platforms than probably what people typically use them for. So please, go back through this video, go back through the PowerPoint, and really dive into it, because you will be able to leverage both your experience and your veteran status in promoting your personal brand, but also your business that you may be launching. So with that being said, looks like we have a question that just came in from Nicole. It's saying, having an issue adding people to Google Plus. Any suggestions? Maybe what we can do is, hey Jim, do you have any feedback on maybe adding people to Google Plus? Now,
See, Valerie's done. Hello.
I'm wondering if it's attracting people to follow you on Google Plus, or if it's actually the steps to add people. But Jim, do you have any suggestions on either of those two?
Can somebody just walk through adding people to a circle? Do you know how to do that, Kim?
Yeah, I can't show that. It should be fairly easy though. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see. Hold on one second. Google Plus. You might get mad at me. I don't want it to get mad at me. But so if you search for the person that you're interested in, so say I search for, I think I've got a lot of people in, let's see, I wonder if Lee is on Google Plus. Yeah, okay, so here's Lee. So I search for Lee, and then I want to add him to a circle, and then I'm able to choose, is he a friend, is he an acquaintance, is he a coworker, and then that'll allow me, and if you don't feel like people fall into any of those circles, then you can create a brand new circle and add that person. Does that answer your question? That's how you want to add folks.
We can follow up with Nicole too and take her through specific questions offline. I know that Nicole, if you don't have my contact information, again, it's meschhoen@syr.edu. I'd be happy to address the specific instance, and we can give you some tips on that. I will say, let me screen share really quick. Let me do this. So if you click on my screen, you can see, so I went out and did a search for Nicole, found her name, go ahead and add that, and you can add to your family, your friends, your acquaintances, or following. Now, Nicole, for you, it may be targeting out in Colorado for your art dealers. I know that that's what we talked that you were doing at EBV. So we can take you through a few steps on potentially how to go ahead and take a look at peoples and pages, as well as communities, etc., and we can get you squared away with that. So feel free to reach out to myself offline. So Anna Maria asks, will you have more of this type of webinar? I would really like to learn about the other social media platforms and how they are used to promoting businesses. We can definitely target other social media platforms and do a deep dive. We can take a look at what those may be and then find experts in those fields. Anna Maria, if you have specific platforms that you'd like to be covered, if you wouldn't mind just typing them out in the chat function, and I'll make a note of it, and we can go ahead and try to find individuals to present on that. Absolutely.
Sure.
So we'll give it a second here before we go ahead and wrap up. But again, I really like to thank my good friend Kim Brown for coming on today. She really kind of condenses what is a very, very complicated, I don't want to say complicated, but there's a lot going on with these platforms, and she does a good job of covering them in a very small time frame.
Yeah,
so
I think what I can show, so Google Plus, Pinterest, and Instagram. Yeah, Google Plus is not really something that I'm super familiar with. Pinterest is definitely a way to promote your business. Instagram as well. What I can show you, let me share my screen. Stand by. Screen share, entire screen. I don't know if you're familiar with slideshare.net, but SlideShare is basically a place where people who are experts on these things post their presentations. SlideShare, that's not going to work out so well. SlideShare.net. So if I go to SlideShare, I can maybe type in Pinterest for business. I can see all of the presentations that people have done on how to use Pinterest for marketing your business, for building your business, for getting the word out. So this can be, a lot of people will just upload their presentations after they do them. It'd be like me uploading the PowerPoint that I was working off of today. And you can kind of get the ones that are most current. That's the thing about social media with how fast it's changing. Oh, that looks like a terrible presentation. No, thank you. None of the pretty pictures in that one. But here's one on social media marketing, specifically using Pinterest. What's your pinspiration? There's a lot of stuff out here. Now, I don't want to stand behind these and say that these are absolutely the be-all and end-all, but you can go through and see what folks suggest about utilizing those different platforms. SlideShare is just a nice place that offers a lot of those resources.
Great. I think that that is exactly what Anna Maria was looking for. And we will go ahead and look for individuals who can go ahead and present further on those. I'm sorry, I'm in a construction zone here real quick. So what I will ask is just, Kim, if you have any kind of parting words of wisdom before we close out, if you want to leave us with anything.
Yeah, I just think what I said before, like not worrying about being on all of the different platforms, but really finding the ones that work best for you, that work best for your business. I had a person connect with, well, it was a person, I know it was, because I know their business wasn't, but the profile on LinkedIn was about a wicker furniture store. Like the name was Wicker Furniture, and then there was a picture of wicker furniture, and it was like trying to use a LinkedIn profile to represent a business. That doesn't work. You know, a wicker furniture store probably belongs more maybe in having a Twitter handle, maybe in having a Facebook page. So really not feeling like you need to be everywhere for your business, but to be in the places that really match your business the most. I think Hootsuite is just a lifesaver. You can get some analytics out of there. The one thing I did want to show actually about Twitter, and we do have a couple minutes here, if you are tweeting and you want to see how you're doing, if you want to see what your analytics are, I'm just going to log into my account. And if I go up here to my face, I'm able to come down here and I can go to analytics.
Can you do a quick screen share, Kim?
Oh, thanks. Gosh, I got so far.
You made it 56 minutes without having you have to.
Oh, man, I got yelled at. All right, entire screen share. Sorry. Okay, we're sharing my screen now. Okay. So let me go back to where I was. Yes, so I logged into Twitter, and what I did, I just want to show you, I went over here to my face, and then I pulled up analytics, and that opened up this site for me. And this is like the coolest thing ever, / you could spend so much time on here. But this shows you, with the tweets you're sending, what was the top tweet, how many people saw it, how many people engaged with it, what was the number of times people actually looked at your profile, the mentions you received. I mean, there is so much information on this dashboard. I can't even begin to show you everything that you can kind of pull from here. But they'll basically show you, like, of the tweets you sent, you know, how many people saw the tweet on Twitter. This was a hugely popular one. I was really fired up about this, so I tried to get it out to a lot of people. How many times did they retweet it? And things like that. So you can start to get an idea of, like, okay, what's working? Like, what tweets are really popular? What ones are falling on deaf ears? What ones should I do more of? And this is a free analytics tool as well. So that's why I just wanted to, I forgot that when I was over on Twitter. So I'm glad I had a little time for some parting words. That's a cool way of seeing how your posts are doing. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen now, and I will be back to say thank you, Mike, for having me on this. I really appreciated being able to spend a lunch hour with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who joined us both live. We have Andrew, we have Anna Maria, and we have Valerie. In the 10 or so who were watching live on YouTube, we really appreciate your questions coming through as well. Again, my email address is meschon@syr.edu. I have shared that in the group chat, but for those of you watching on YouTube, please feel free to reach out to me if there are any questions surrounding this presentation. I can share the PowerPoint. I can direct any questions to folks that we have in-house that may be able to help you out. And Anna Maria, thank you very much for the suggestion on some of the other platforms, and maybe what we can go ahead and do is identify some folks who could come on and present on those. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and close out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.